Hare Krishna, everyone. So, we ended yesterday's class with me not being able to find the document which I created over a few months. And so I was able to go back, and I only lost a few things. And I take it as Krishna's arrangement that I had to go back over what I studied yesterday, this morning, and I extracted a few things that I didn't extract previously. So I think that will be good for us. So here we are. It's the winter. You can see that I look cold. The winter in Florida is actually cold, believe it or not. Sometimes, yeah. So here we are. Hare Krishna to everyone. And we will continue reading from Bhagavatam about Yoga Maya, the Yoga Maya potency, which I said is interesting because it's a very broad potency. It does many things. This morning I was reading about how Yoga Maya created this beautiful form of a woman. And Lord Shiva was attracted to this woman. And we know from different stories that Lord Shiva is very sense-controlled. And nothing can attract him. And he was attracted by this woman, so much so that he actually lost his mind. He ran after her. Yes. Hold on a second. We need more light. He ran after her. And he pulled her by the hair and grabbed her and embraced her, but she got away. Who was she? Well, she was none other than Krishna in the form of a woman. So, yeah, Krishna in the form of a woman. When I read that story, I said, Krishna, don't ever appear to me in the form of a woman, although maybe it's okay because it's Krishna. Anyway, so Prabhupada explained that there's no way Lord Shiva would be attracted by the beauty of an ordinary woman, but this woman was Krishna. By the Yoga Maya potency, Lord Shiva was bewildered by this woman. Only by Yoga Maya was this going to happen. Was this possible? Even Lord Shiva. So sometimes Yoga Maya acts to make things happen that wouldn't ordinarily happen. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Ballava Girivardhari Gopijana Ballava Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Panachari Jamuna Tira Panachari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari, Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari, Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari, Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari, 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 Hari. Now I have a song for you. I'm working on it the other day. Let's see if I can play it. Shishastakam, verse 5. O son of Nanda, I've fallen into the ocean of birth and death. O son of Nanda, I've fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shishastakam ki jai. So I have decided that I will record each verse of the Shishastakam separately with a separate melody. And that was a melody I came up with yesterday. I think I have about 5 melodies, so we need 3 more. So that was the verse where I've fallen to this miserable ocean of material existence. Please pick me up. Place me as an atom at your lotus feet. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. This is Lord Chaitanya's poetry. So, Hare Krishna. So we're going to continue reading from... I have to just figure out where we left off. And as we have experience of when we're not exactly sure where we left off, we begin reading, and then we sometimes recognize, oh, we've already read that. We have some controversial things coming up for you today, so stay tuned. Your intellect will be stimulated. Okay, so give me a moment to remember. Actually, I don't think we read more than one or two Bhagavatam excerpts. Yes. I'm going to read something we read last time. It's just a few sentences which summarize the Yogamaya potency. This is from the 10th canto. In the material world, we read this before, but it's worth reading again. In the material world, the conditioned soul thinks of himself as a product of triguna, the three modes of material nature. This is the bodily concept of life. Because of associating with the three gunas of the material potency, everyone identifies himself with his body. Yes, you do. And how do you know? Well, you're probably attracted to bodies of the opposite sex in your age bracket. That's how you know you identify with this body. And if you didn't identify with this body, you wouldn't really be sexually attracted to any body. Someone is thinking he is a Brahman, someone a Kshatriya, and someone a Vaishya or Shudra. Actually, however, one is neither a Brahman, a Kshatriya, Vaishya, nor a Shudra. One is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Mamai Vangso. But because of being covered by the material energy, Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways. When the conditioned soul becomes liberated, however, he thinks himself an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Sharup Hoy Krishnara Nityadar. When he comes to the position, the same potency acting as Yogamaya increasingly helps him become purified and the devotee and devote his energy to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada, there's another place which we'll read later where Prabhupada explains, I hope we'll read it later, we'll get there, where Prabhupada explains, you've heard this example, electricity can become cooling or heating. So Prabhupada explains, Yogamaya Mahamaya is one energy and it shifts according to the need of the day or need of the moment and the need of the devotees. Like, what energy do you want, Yogamaya or Mahamaya? Take your pick. The choice is yours, ladies and gentlemen. You want Mahamaya, you want Yogamaya. You choose. And then it's the same potency acting as heating or cooling. So, one day you're very Krishna conscious, and one day you're not, as that potency shifted, the potency that's acting on us. Now, the interesting thing is Prabhupada said, in the material world and even in the spiritual world, everyone is being controlled by Krishna's energy. So it's not that one is free from the influence of control. It's just that the control is Yogamaya. The Yogamaya potency enhances your Krishna consciousness. So that's why sometimes we feel very Krishna conscious, and because we're not established on the platform of a higher stage of bhakti, when the energy shifts, then all of a sudden Mahamaya is affecting us, and then we feel so different, or vice versa. That one day we're not doing well, and then one day we are doing well, because we've put ourselves under the influence of different energies at different times. So if you can figure out in your life how to always be under the internal potency, then you'll always be inspired in your devotional service. You'll always be having all kinds of amazing realizations. You'll have taste for the practices of devotional service. Everything will be just fine. But if you allow yourself to be influenced by Mahamaya, it will be the opposite. The taste won't be there. The inspiration won't be there. Prabhu, what's your realization? I don't have any. That's what you'll say. But if you're in the internal potency, say, Prabhu, I have to talk to you. I have so many realizations. I was just reading Prabhupada's book, then I realized this, and I realized that, then I realized this, then I journaled for this, then I realized that, then I chanted 84 rounds, and this, and that. And all of a sudden, it was midnight. The whole day went by. It was just realization after realization. So, of course, slightly exaggerated, but that's actually what happens. It's just the internal potency is where you get everything. Krishna conscious. The external potency is created to not give you Krishna consciousness. It's created to inspire you for sense gratification. So obviously, if we're inspired in sense gratification, then it just destroys our inspiration for bhakti. And vice versa, the inspiration for bhakti, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanam Vairagya. You get knowledge and vairagya as a product of bhakti. And Abhinam Jnanam Etena, your knowledge becomes covered as a product of Mahamaya. So, it sounds easy. You just have to put yourself under the internal potency. And in a sense, it is easy because the internal potency will do everything. So, kind of like just getting on the right plane at the airport. Sometimes they make announcements. This plane is going to Russia. If you're not going to Russia, please depart the plane now. As if you could somehow get on the wrong plane that all the people checking you overlooked it. But once I was going to some godforsaken place, and they were joking and said, this flight is going to Hawaii. Hawaii's paradise. They let you joke in America on the airplane. But where's your airplane going? Get on the right airplane. So once you're on the right airplane, but you have to make sure that the pilots on the airplane are vegetarian and follow the 4 principles and chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to fly in that airplane because it's contaminated, right? I just read an article, and a devotee was joking like that. He said we were so fanatic in the early days that the fanaticism was almost like saying, I don't fly in airplanes unless the pilots are devotees. I guess you probably don't fly in many airplanes then. But that's a joke, but we were that crazy. But anyway, so put yourself under the internal potency. So what does Prabhupada say? When he comes to that position, the same potency, let's just go back a little bit. It'll make more sense after what I said. Being covered by the material energy, Mahamaya, one identifies himself in these different ways as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, another just some material designation. But when he becomes a servant, then he comes under the Yogamaya potency. And the Yogamaya potency increasingly helps him become purified and devote his energy to the service of the Lord. So if you say, I'm just not inspired, what does that mean? Technically, philosophically, it means, Yogamaya potency, not there. Mahamaya. Prabhu, you're in Maya. You ever tell someone that? Or did someone ever tell you that? You're in Maya. Well, how did you know I was in Maya? Well, just look at you. You look like you're in Maya. Look at your face. What? I look like I'm in Maya. Yeah, look at your face. You look like a dark cloud personified. So sometimes you can just tell when someone's in Maya because they look like a dark cloud personified, isn't it? And when someone's under the internal potency, they kind of look like the sun has just walked into the room. So we've seen it all. We've seen Maya in action and we've seen Yogamaya in action. So This is not theory for us. What we are reading, we've seen in our life, we've seen in the life of the devotees. So when you break it down, it's really quite simple. What airplane are you on? Because one airplane is not going to a good place, and one airplane's going to a really good place. So if you just figure out how to get on the airplane that's going to the good place, you're good. That's it. It's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple. We have special Shakti to make it complicated. That is one of the gifts of Maya, that we would make simple things complicated. But other than that, it's quite simple. Yeah, but Prabhu, I'm a conditioned soul and it's not so easy. And, I have a lot of material desires and I can't just. And then you have, your whole speech about why you got on the wrong plane. Oh, my Govinda, may God save you. Please don't make that speech. Prabhu, how come you're in Maya? Pull out your speech and start reading. Well, it started about 3 weeks ago when, and then this happened, and that happened, and I didn't feel like this, and he said that, and she did that, and somebody did my service because I was late, and then this devotee wrote me a nasty letter, and blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm on the wrong plane. Well, how do you feel about that? I feel horrible. Well, why don't you get on the right plane? No, I'm not going to. Not fair. Okay. So Krishna says, okay, you want Mahamaya? All right. She's all for you. She's all yours. Hare Krishna. Okay, Mahamaya is all yours if that's what you want. You get her. She will be delivered to your door by Amazon. Yeah, and you don't have to wait till the next day. You get immediately delivery. It happens like right away, faster than Amazon. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes, all right. Yes. So Krishna says, does this potency shift depend entirely on us? Yes and no. You have the backing of the whole disciplic succession, but so in that sense, it doesn't entirely depend on you. But I think the answer is obvious why someone has the mercy and someone doesn't. Because Prabhupada said, he said, my mercy is for everyone, but some people take it and some don't. So say, you have Prabhupada's mercy. Does that depend entirely on you? Well, not entirely, because it's not your mercy. But entirely does depend on you because you have to take it. If you don't take it, you don't get it. So the answer is yes and no. You didn't create the mercy, but you have to take the mercy. So does it entirely depend on you? Well, it's like asking, does it entirely depend on me to buy a car? Pretty much. But you don't have to create the car. But in terms of buying the car, yeah. So let's rephrase the question. Does it entirely depend on me to take the mercy? Yes, it does. And what if I don't take the mercy? Then you don't get it. But what if Narada Muni comes and just showers me with mercy? Okay, well, if that happens, then that happens. But are you going to sit at home and wait for that to happen? Better take the mercy now. Trust no future, however pleasant. Narada Muni just may not come to you and just shove the mercy down your throat. Probably not good to depend on that. Depend on your action. Take the mercy. Take it. So Prabhupada has the mercy and he says, take it. And you're like, well, if you shove it down my throat, I'll take it. But otherwise, I don't think so. All right. You don't get it. So yes, in that sense, it depends on you. Does the potency shift depending entirely on us? Yes. So many times Prabhupada said, being in Krishna consciousness and being in material consciousness, it's the same thing. It's just a different consciousness. You're gonna be singing. You're gonna be eating. You're gonna be working. You're gonna be reading. It's just, what are you singing about? What are you eating? How are you working? What are you reading? So we really are the architects of our transcendental destiny. Now, then Krista is indicating, well, what about mercy? Yeah, mercy will do everything, but you have to take the mercy pills. Okay, so at least take the mercy pills. All right. Does it all depend on us? Depends on us to take the mercy pills, and then the mercy pills will do everything. So yeah, it doesn't entirely depend on us. The mercy does do it, but you don't get the mercy if you don't take the pill. So I think that's the best explanation. Took me a minute to clarify that. The mercy is like a pill, and it does everything, but you have to take the pill. You, me, all of us, we have to take the pill. If we take the pill, it will act. It's like a Yogamaya pill. Take the Yogamaya pill, then you're good. Okay. Nadia says, what about Vaishnava etiquette? It's based on material considerations like gender. But is it material? I usually sing with devotees, no matter if they are all males. I'm the only woman. Usually there are so many Matajis who, are you saying dare to sing, lead the kirtan? So I do it anyways. We end up having joyful kirtan. It depends on their temple. I'm not sure your question, what it's in relation to. Is it skipping Vaishnava etiquette? Yeah, in Vrindavan it would be. You get a cane around your neck. Get her out of here. But it's not. Sometimes Vaishnava etiquette will mean what pleases the devotees and what displeases the devotees. So in different places, they'll be very displeased, and other places very pleased if a woman leads kirtan. So in that sense, etiquette can be relative to the culture. This is very obvious when you see how the temples in India are run, because the Indian culture, at least around religion, is very conservative. Indian culture is not so conservative anymore. In fact, amongst the younger generation is pretty much the same as it is here in the West. But amongst the older, and especially in relation to traditional religion, it's very conservative. So in some places, it would be improper for a woman to sing. In other places, even if it's conservative, part of their culture is that women do sing. So, don't ruffle anyone's feathers, and you'll be fine. And remember, don't fly in airplanes where the pilots don't chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 principles. If you're a good devotee, you will follow that. Yeah, that is kind of our poster child for fanatic. Okay, let's all get on the airplane and go to Vrindavan. Okay, so we can continue reading. So this, what I read, is just a bit of a summary, and I had read that before. And I think, so I don't think we've read this next quote. If we have, we will remember by reading it that we have read it. And as I've always said, it's definitely no problem to read something again, because I doubt that we all remember everything that we read on Monday, or last week, or the week before. So this is from the 2nd Canto, 7th chapter, text 26. 726. Let's see how fast Nadi is in getting that up. Zoom, 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 zoom. How fast can she get it up? I should actually send these quotes to her, then she could get them up faster. Vaikuntha lokas, either of the Lord or of the other inhabitants, are completely distinct from the material bodies of this world. Therefore, when the Lord descends from that world to this world, he descends in his spiritual body of Atma Maya, or internal potency, without any touch of the Bahiranga Maya, or external material energy. The allegation that the impersonal Brahman appears in this material world by accepting a material body is quite absurd. Therefore, the Lord, when he comes here, has not a material body, but a spiritual body. The impersonal Brahma Jyoti is only the glaring effulgence of the body of the Lord, and there is no difference in quality between the body of the Lord and the impersonal ray of the Lord called Brahma Jyoti. This is actually the second half of a purport, and I think we read the first half. So this doesn't make sense because it didn't mention Yoga Maya. So let me go back and read the first half, which I think we already read, but it won't hurt to read it again. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.25, it is said by the Lord, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samamritaha. In other words, he reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone. Only the bona fide devotees can know him by his specific symptoms. And out of many, many such symptoms, one symptom is mentioned here in this verse, that the Lord is Sita Krishna Kesha. We read this, remember? Or one who is observed always with beautiful black hair. Both Lord Krishna and Balaram have such hair on their heads, and thus, even in advanced age, they appeared like young boys 16 years old. That is the particular symptom of the personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that although he is the oldest personality among all living entities, he always looks like a new, youthful boy. Navayovanam cha. That is the characteristic of a spiritual body. The material body is symptomized by birth, death, old age, and diseases. But the spiritual body is conspicuous by the absence of those symptoms. Living entities who reside in the Vaikuntha Lokas in eternal life and bliss have the same type of spiritual body, without being affected by any signs of old age. So, the main point of this purport was the verse that's quoted. This is 7.25 from the Gita. And Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samamrita. This is the verse where Krishna says, I'm not manifest to foolish people. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samamrita. Mudhoyam nabijananti mam lokam avyam abhyam. Remember, I was trying to remember the last line. Loko mam abhyam avyam. Loko mam agyam abhyam. So people see Krishna, even when he was on the planet, they see him and they don't know who he is, which in one sense, it seems difficult to understand because you think, well, if Krishna appeared, how could you miss him? And just think, like you're walking down the street and Krishna's walking down the street, and there's hundreds of people walking down the street, and you don't notice him. You just walk by like nothing happened, and you think that would be impossible. Right? Don't you ever think like that? Like, how could you miss him? And how would he not stand out in the crowd? Well, this verse is basically saying, if you're covered by Yoga Maya, if Krishna's covered by Yoga Maya, you won't understand who he is. You'll just think he's an ordinary person. Naham prakasha sarvasya. I am not manifest. Naham prakashas, manifest to anyone. I am not manifest. Naham prakasha sarvasya, to all. Yoga Maya, to all the fools and rascals. Yoga Maya samamrita. I'm covered by my Yoga Maya potency. Mudho yam nabijananti. The fools, they don't know me. They don't understand me. Well, that's Krishna. Yeah. You know Krishna? Yeah. This boy lives in Vrindavan. Cowherd boy or something like that. I heard something about him. Yeah. Kind of good looking. like, does mischief with the girls. Like, yeah, I heard something about him. Just another boy in Vrindavan. And we're thinking, how could you miss him? Well, the same way, probably the first time you went to the temple, if you weren't born a Hindu, and you went to the temple and you looked at the altar, probably you didn't see the deities. You just saw flowers and colors and lights and maybe some doll or something. But you were actually looking at the deity. Most devotees will say, I didn't really notice them. How could you not notice the deities are sitting on the altar? There's some lights and flowers, and I didn't really see it. So that way we understand. You can't see Krishna with material eyes. So if you have material eyes, even though he's standing there, you just think he's an ordinary person. How could you think he's an ordinary person? We did it ourselves. We still do it sometimes. We go in the temple, we're not in good consciousness, and you see the deity, and it's like, what do you feel when you see the deity? Sometimes you feel like, oh, I wish I would feel something. I don't feel anything. Yeah, that's Naham Prakasha Sarvasha. We're not seeing fully. I chant the holy name, puts me to sleep. Naham Prakasha Sarvasha. The holy name is not revealed to everybody also. So that's the idea of that purport verse. Okay. This is 2730. One day Lord Krishna, as the naughty child, disturbed his mother Jashoda, and she began to tie up the child with ropes just to punish him. But no matter how much rope she used, she found it always insufficient. Thus, she became fatigued, but in the meantime the Lord opened his mouth, and the affectionate mother saw within the mouth of her son all the universes situated together. The mother was astonished, but out of her deep affection for Krishna, she thought that the Almighty Godhead, Narayan, had kindly looked after her son just to protect him from all the continuous calamities happening to him. Because of her deep affection for Krishna, she could never think that her very son was Narayana, the personality of Godhead. That is the action of Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, which acts to perfect all the pastimes of the Lord with his different types of devotees. Who could play such wonders without being God? So this is interesting because we just had mentioned how people saw Krishna and they couldn't understand him. But you could say Mother Yashoda couldn't understand him, but it had a different effect. Because not understanding Krishna's Godhead for Mother Yashoda was beneficial. Not understanding Krishna's Godhood, for other people is not beneficial. Because they think of him to be an ordinary person. But when Yashoda thinks he's just an ordinary boy, her son, it actually helps her. So that same potency is covering them. But when it's covered, when Krishna's covered and one's a devotee, one has love for Krishna, then it increases their love. So what Prabhupada's saying here in the purport is that Yoga Maya made sure that Mother Yashoda would never, and all the residents in Braja, would never understand Krishna is God. And even if they did understand it, they wouldn't understand it. So in that way, if they don't understand Krishna as God, then their affection for Krishna will be stronger. But their affection would change if they understood that he's God. So Yogamaya knows this, and Yogamaya makes sure they never understand his actual position because that would reduce their affection. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a verse. And Lord Chaitanya said, love is made feeble by worshiping me in the mood of awe and reverence, or worshiping me in my majestic feature. That love is made feeble. Let me look up what the word feeble means. I want to get a real definition of it so we can understand this. Feeble. I never looked this up. always, sometimes you think you know what a word means, but you don't really. Lacking physical strength, especially as a result of age or illness. Lacking strength of character. So it means weakened. So, yeah, we'll just say weakened. Love becomes weakened by understanding the Aishvarya, the opulence of Krishna. Of course, for us, it's different because we're not Mother Yasoda. We're not on the level of spontaneous devotion yet. Maybe tomorrow we'll have it. But as far as today is concerned, because we don't have it right now, at least I'm making an assumption that you don't have it. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But when you don't have it, then yes, you worship Krishna. You understanding Krishna as God, it's necessary. Because we think we're God, so we have to understand there is someone other than us who's God. But when you actually have bhav or prema, then the opulence weakens the love. Because, oh, now he's God on reverence. I didn't know. So reverence can weaken love. Understanding his godhood could weaken love. So Yogamaya doesn't allow it. And whenever there's a situation where it seems like the devotees would now understand Krishna's God because he just did something, you can see by reading Bhagavatam or Krishna book how they never, it's like obvious, but they never figure it out. And sometimes they almost figure it out. They think, well, maybe he's not ordinary. They go, yeah, he's probably a demigod. Something like that. So that they kind of get this hint that, maybe he's God, but it doesn't go that far. And if it does go that far, Yogamaya comes in her fire truck to put out the fire, like immediately. This is a problem. We have to put out this fire. They're thinking Krishna's God. And so that way, she acts in the Leela, at least in Vrindavan, to keep the affection high by not letting the devotees know Krishna's position, his Vasudeva feature. And you know the story, the gopis, in the rasa dance, when Krishna left them, they went looking for him. But then Krishna, he knows everything, so he likes to play jokes. Young boys like to play jokes with girls. It's fun, up to a certain age. So then Krishna appears as, the gopis are looking, they're asking the trees, have you seen Krishna? The animals, they're just going crazy trying to find Krishna. And then there's Narayana. It's actually Krishna manifesting forearms. And they bow down. Do you know where Krishna is? That's all they said. They weren't like, okay, get out the ghee lamps. Let's do puja. This is Narayan. They're like, you know where Krishna is? Hi, Narayan. What's up? You know where Krishna is? And the way the story goes is when Radharani came asking, because Radharani's affection is so strong, it was impossible for Krishna to disguise himself as Narayan. So it said his two arms just disappeared, and there he was, Krishna. So Narayan has four arms, with two arms disappear, and there is Krishna with two arms. He couldn't maintain four arms in the presence of Radha. Her love caused his arms to disappear. He had to manifest as Krishna. It's like, let's say you haven't seen a loved one for a year, and you get off the plane, but you're like disguised so they don't see you, and you walk up to them and you ask a question like, do you know where the bathroom is? Any of you know where the bathroom is? You're like playing with them. And you're like, you can't play with them that long because you haven't seen them for a year. You just want to embrace them. And it's like, something like that. Like Krishna couldn't hold himself to that identity. So that's how Yogamaya works. Right? Okay. So now you all learn what feeble means. Feeble-minded means your mind's not. It's pretty weak. Okay. Jyotirmaya says, I have said that one of the evidence of being God is the supreme beauty over anything else. So if Krishna was walking around the street, one should be able to be hit by such beauty, maybe not recognize that Krishna is beauty. No, not necessarily. You have to have the eyes to see. Do you have the eyes to see his beauty? It's not so evident. Recognize the Krishna, but the beauty cannot be hidden. It can be hidden. Otherwise, you know, all these demons are coming to kill Krishna. And they're very angry, and they're coming with all this anger, and they're going to kill Krishna, right? So you would think, if Krishna's that beautiful, they would see him, and they think, oh my God, I can't kill this beautiful boy. And Prabhupada said that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, practically everyone was killed except for a few. So Prabhupada said, if they died on the battlefield and they're seeing Krishna and they're appreciating his beauty, Vaikuntha. But if they die on the battlefield and they don't appreciate Krishna, they don't go to Vaikuntha. Which indicated that even though they were seeing Krishna, they weren't appreciating his beauty. So it's transcendental. The beauty is transcendental, and it takes the eyes of some affection, some devotion to see it. And you can see that when you look at the deity. Those who have more bhakti, they see more beauty. Those who have more bhakti see more beauty in the name. So we could take the same argument, Jyotirmaya, and say, Krishna is non-different from his name, therefore his name is as beautiful as him. But we don't all experience it that way. The Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. Sometimes we fall asleep reading the Bhagavatam, and you say, well, yeah, sometimes I fall asleep when I read the Bhagavatam, but if Krishna were to walk in the room, I wouldn't fall asleep. And Prabhupada says, but the Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. The holy name is non-different from Krishna. The deity is non-different from Krishna. Have you ever fallen asleep during class when you didn't get enough sleep? And you did neck exercises during class. Have you ever done that? But Krishna's there on the altar. How could you fall asleep if Krishna, in front of Krishna? I could never fall asleep in front of Krishna. Well, you just did. So that's the idea. You would think everyone would see the beauty of Krishna. But if everybody did, how could these demons be after him? They didn't see. They just thought he was a young a boy who's going to create problems for Kamsa. And so they went to kill him. They didn't see him. Yeah, Sadhurupa. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, yeah. And then, what was I going to say? Anyway. Okay, I just got a message from Krishna Karshini that once again, her question was covered by the Yogamaya Potency, and I couldn't see it, which proves that I'm affected by Yogamaya. Oh yeah, we missed some questions. I didn't maybe go high enough. All glories to Vrindavani. Okay, here's the question. Did I miss any others? Okay, yeah, okay. What about past life conditions that may slow down us to take mercy? I personally know devotees who seem to be sincere but so conditioned at the same time so that they're stuck in their spiritual life. That is true. But nothing can stop you. That's also true. Maybe someone's walking back to Godhead with weights on their feet, and someone is going back to Godhead with Nike running shoes. But even the person with weights, if they're determined, it's just going to be harder, but nothing can stop them. They'll walk back to Godhead with the weights. Though it is true, we're all coming from different levels, different samskaras, different past karma. And it will take more effort, obviously. But ultimately, if you read our philosophy carefully and you read everything Prabhupada says, you will come to the conclusion that anybody can become Krishna conscious if they want it. You know that verse, what is the qualification for bhakti? What is the payment? Labha, greed. You just want to have it. That's the price. That's the cost. So you might say, well, who has the greed? Shouldn't they be advanced, or they have the association of very advanced devotee? But not everyone who has association with advanced devotee has the greed necessarily. So ultimately, the best way to look at it is that we all can become Krishna conscious. We may be starting from different starting points. Some of us may have weights on our feet. But still, if we want Krishna consciousness and we're willing to pay the price, we'll get it. So what you say is true, that it can be more difficult for some. But it just means you have to try harder. Just like all of us have different obstacles within our own consciousness, different attachments. But they're all different. So that means you may be challenged by false ego, she may be challenged by envy, he may be challenged by lust, she may be challenged by this attachment, he's challenged by that attachment. So it may be different for all of us. But there's challenges for everyone who's not pure. So how you take those challenges is going to make the difference between whether you become Krishna conscious or not, or how Krishna conscious you become. That is the way that Prabhupada taught it. That's the way he wants us to look at it. Nothing material is the cause of bhakti. So if nothing material is the cause, then conversely, nothing material is the obstacle. There's no material condition that can be an obstacle. They say, but some conditions are more difficult. Yes, no doubt. But when I say obstacle, I mean preventing you from becoming, there's no material condition that can completely prevent you from becoming Krishna conscious. There are different conversations in which, not many, but devotees, one or two devotees had to go to jail for some past violations, and they told Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was like, it's okay. Krishna was born in jail, He never said, well, you can't be Krishna conscious in jail. More difficult, no association, no doubt more difficult. But he would always say, here's the practice, just follow it wherever you go and you'll be Krishna conscious. So personally, the way I take this is that when you see a particular area or areas in your life where you feel particularly challenged by Maya, there's two ways to deal with it. And the way that I personally deal with it is I say, okay, I'm challenged in this area, so I have to work harder in this area. I have to be more cautious to not be allured by this or become attached to this. Like, I'm very attached to music. I could just say goodbye to all of you, go in my studio and just never see me again. I mean, you'll hear the music, but no more classes, no more answering emails and WhatsApp messages and Facebook messages. And, I'm gone. I could easily do that. So actually some days it does happen that I go off in the studio a little too long, but I'm very conscious of it, and it doesn't happen often because I know that I can do that. It's a strong attachment. So I'm very careful. Let's just use this for Krishna, and if I can't use it for Krishna, that's it. It doesn't get used. So I'm aware of that, and I have to put energy into that. I have to deal with that. Now, some of you don't have a strong attachment to music, but you have a strong attachment to something else. Maybe it's Facebook or watching movies or reading romance novels, or you read too much news, or whatever it is, or criticism, or laziness, or you eat too much, or you sleep too much, whatever it is, or you're too attached to this or that. So you know what the difficulty is, and instead of thinking, "Oh, I have this difficulty. What's the use? Why trying? I'm just weak. I just accept my weakness, and it's just how I am, and I'm just going to eat too much or sleep too much, or I'm just going to be too attached to this or too." And you think, "Oh, okay, this is something I can see that is a problem for me. I'm a little too attached or a little too addicted. So I'm going to have to try harder in this area, maybe than this devotee, because this devotee doesn't really have that problem. But this devotee has another problem. So this devotee has their own area where they're going to have to work on. They're very attached to this, or maybe too detached from something they should be attached to. So that's the way I would see it. Not that we give up and say, "Just how I am, I'm just weak." Okay. You know, if you think of it materially, that if you want something and it's difficult to get for whatever reason, either because of your own inability or lack of education, or because of your nature, or just circumstantially. But if you really want something, isn't it true that you wouldn't allow those things to deter you? You just figure out how to get around it. Like, I want to achieve this, but I'm not really good at an aspect of what's necessary. Then I think, okay, can I get someone to help me? Is there a book about it? Is there an article about it? Can I learn it? You just figure out how you're going to do it. Oh, I'm not very good at this. Well, how can I become good at it? Where can I learn about it? Who can help me? Is there a tutor? Is there a coach? Is there a club, an organization that helps people with this? So you try to figure out how to make up for your handicaps, deficiencies, inabilities. Because why? Because you want to achieve something. So if that's true materially, why wouldn't it be true spiritually? But a lot of times spiritually, people will just say, wine, we can call them wine anandis. They like to whine. Wine anandi. Wine, or if you're a man, wine ananda. What's your name, Prabhu? It's Wine Ananda. Why do you have that name? Because I love to whine about how I can't be Krishna conscious. It's too hard, and I'm too this, and I'm too that, and he's too this, she's too that, and the temple's too this, and the city's too that. My mind is too this, and my heart is too that. Wine Ananda. Your name is Wine Ananda Das. You like to whine. You get happiness, bliss. It's blissful for you to whine. So this I would say, Krishna Karshani, that I'm sure that there are devotees who whine about being Krishna conscious, but in their material life, they're very active and successful to achieve what they want. And they don't whine about it because they just do it. Of course, some people whine about everything. That's their constitutional position. They're the wine incarnation, wine avatar. But there are people that whine about Krishna consciousness that don't whine about achieving something material. They do what they have to do. So that's the solution. Stop whining, roll up your sleeves, and deal with your stuff. Okay, write that down, everyone. Stop whining, roll up your sleeves, and deal with your stuff. I'm going to write that down. Maybe we should make a t-shirt, huh? What do you think? Stop. Should I write a song? Stop whining, roll up your sleeves, and deal with your stuff. That'll be the chorus. Sounds like a reggae song to me. Okay. Hare Krishna. So that's my opinion on past life. I don't want to deny that past actions have an effect. But look at Jagai and Madhai. They had a pretty black past, and they did it. If they can do it, you can do it. If Jagai and Madhai can do it, you can do it. Okay, you can do it. Jagai and Madhai did it. You're not as bad as they are. I hope not. Okay, we've got slow internet. Beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. Yes. Hi, Narayan. What's up? Did you see Krishna? I like that, the way you explain it. The gopis were so worried about where Krishna is more than worshiping Narayan when he appeared, and how they naturally felt Krishna before, even Narayan. Yeah. He's God, they were thinking more of him than, yeah. So good. I made Nadia laugh. Perfection of my life. To make devotees laugh. Does more weights mean that we'll take more lives to go back to Godhead? No, it just means that you have to try harder. Is it possible for someone who has many weights? Yeah, you can go in this life. Yeah, I mean, look at all of us who are still in Krishna consciousness. We're proof that in spite of the weights, we're still here. We were raised in America, so there are many weights put on our ankles by being raised in America. But when we met Prabhupada, we didn't allow those weights to stop us. So, no weight can stop you, Nadia, if you don't let it stop you. It just means you have to work a little more. Maybe you need a different strategy than someone else because of your particular situation. She needs a different strategy. We all need our own particular strategies. Some devotees have problems that I don't have. They tell me their problems, and I think, I never had that problem. Why do you have that problem? I don't tell them. I understand that it's a real problem for them. But part of me is saying, I didn't know that anyone had that problem. I don't understand why you would have that problem. Our philosophy explains that problem away. But still, due to past samskaras, some devotees have problems that you would think you wouldn't have as devotees. These are not devotee problems. These are problems that non-devotees have, but still we have them because of conditioning. And some devotees who have those problems will say, I know my problem is stupid. I know my attachment is stupid, but what can I do? I'm still attached. And they've been chanting Hare Krishna every day, and they're still attached. And saying, okay, you've got to work on it. You've got to. That's a problem you have to work on. I don't have that problem, so I don't have to work on that. I work on my own problems. You work on your problems. Something like that. Nadia's saying, I don't think we should care about others' problems. Yeah, in general, unless they're coming to you for help. But just putting your nose into others' problems, no, that could be a waste of energy. So Krishna is making a public statement. I am this much attached to dance. It's hard to go against it. So you can learn to dance for Krishna. Bharatanatyam. You can learn Bharatanatyam then. Or, as I told you before, if you make money teaching dancing, then you're using that, and that it can be seen as used in Krishna service, because you can use the money for Krishna service. So when you have an attachment you can't give up, then you use it in Krishna service. And sometimes you shouldn't give up some attachments. They're good. You can use them. Like, Badhari says, I'm finished. I'm not singing anymore. Music is Maya. You're like, no, lead kirtan. No, I'm not going to lead kirtan. It's music. No, so that's the opposite end of Maya. They're both Maya. Renouncing it is Maya. Indulging it in sense gratification is Maya. Using it in Krishna's service. That's the idea. Dance for Krishna. Yeah, especially you can go crazy in the kirtan. Krishna Karshani says, if we want to be Krishna conscious, we will make it. But it seems that past samskaras can make our desire to be Krishna. We're in an infinite loop here. Seems that kind of a cycle, very difficult to get at. We don't have desire to be Krishna. So we're not Krishna conscious. You know what you do then? You know what you do then when you're caught in this vicious cycle. She's describing the vicious cycle here. then you need advanced dissociation. Like sometimes if you feel like, okay, I understand my problem, but I'm so attached, then you need association of devotees who don't have those attachments, and that will give you strength. Or just older devotees in general. You will get strength from those devotees. So that's also there. Hare Krishna. Mm. Mm. Krishna says, I'm creating ideas for what you suggested. Dance your way back to Godhead. So that you can start a business. You call it Dance Your Way to God or something. We'll write a song for you. I'm dancing my way back to Godhead. Now here's interesting. Okay. Here's 3:522, just one sentence. The omnipotent Lord, by his different energies, can perform anything and everything he likes. The creation of the cosmic world is done by his Yogamaya energy. So that you might think, wait a minute. Creation is done by Yogamaya? I thought Yogamaya specifically was to cover non-devotees and also cover devotees, so the non-devotees could forget Krishna and the devotees could love Krishna. And now here, saying Yogamaya is an energy of creation. She's creating. That's what I said in the beginning of class. Yogamaya's function is not, she's not a one-trick pony. It's Krishna's, so sometimes Yogamaya it's Krishna's energy, and in other places it said Krishna creates by his Yogamaya potency. So then it becomes a description of Krishna's energy in general. And therefore, in that sense, you could say Yogamaya, you could, for any time you use the word energy, you could, not any time, but many times you could use the word Yogamaya. Everything is happening by the Yogamaya energy. Just Krishna's potency. That's a general description for Yogamaya also, Krishna's potency. So this is from the 3rd canto, 10th chapter, text 17. 3:10:17. The energy of the Lord, called avidya, is the bewildering factor of the conditioned souls. The material nature is called avidya, or ignorance. But to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya, or pure knowledge. Interesting, right? Again, this hot and cold coming from one electrical, hot and cold being transformed from electricity. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in her real feature. The material nature, therefore, appears to function in 3 phases. Phases as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge. So Yogamaya as the creator, Mahamaya, ignorance, Yogamaya as knowledge. As disclosed in the previous verse, in the 4th creation, the power of knowledge is also created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of the avidya function of material nature, they are made fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. So again, that point is made. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in a real feature. So Yogamaya, as we said before, Yogamaya is meant for devotees. Mahamaya is meant for non-devotees. Choose your weapons, ladies and gentlemen. Which energy do you want? You will get the energy you want. And you might say, I don't want Mahamaya. So why am I in Mahamaya if I don't want Mahamaya? Because you just think you don't want Mahamaya. You don't want Mahamaya in your intellect, but in your heart you do. That's why you sometimes get bewildered. You think, but I don't want this. Why is it happening? No, you don't want it in your head. You understand philosophically that it's bad, but in your heart you want it. So Maya shows up. It says, okay, you think you don't want me, but actually you do. And so here I am. Let's dance. And that's why you get bewildered and thinking, doesn't Krishna hear my prayers? Yeah, he hears your prayers, but if what you're praying for is not what you really want, then he's not going to fulfill it. I'm praying to get out of Maya. Do you really want to get out of Maya? Are you sure that's what you really want? I mean, deep down inside, is that what you really want? Or you're just praying for it because you know it's the right thing? So sometimes you think you want it because you understand it's the right thing, but in your heart you don't want it. So you have to get it out of your head into your heart, and then things start happening. So sometimes we fool ourselves. We think we want something, but it's just we understand I should want it. So, wanting it and understanding I should want it, there are two different things. I have to write this down because I write them down when I think they'd be good for videos. And actually, the best thing is to do the videos after class. And otherwise, I forget. You understand? Because sometimes it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand when you understand something in your head. It's sometimes hard to understand that you actually don't understand it always in your heart. In other words, you understand with your head, this is what I want. And you think, oh, this is what I want, because Prabhupada said, this is what I should want, this is why I should want, I understand it, it's clear, my intelligence understands it. And then I think, well, why am I not getting it? This is what I want. Why is it difficult? Because it hasn't been understood by the heart. It hasn't been felt by the heart. It hasn't been desired by the heart. It's only been understood by the head. So we think we want it, but we don't. So that's something to reflect on. And once it comes to the point where you actually want it, then everything happens. Then Yoga Maya will work to help you. But if you want it in your head, but you don't want it in your heart, then you're still inviting Maya to fulfill your material side of it. So we want to be able to get it from our head, understanding, into our heart, actually desiring it on an emotional level, not just desiring it on an intellectual level. Do you ever find that like you don't understand why you do something when you intellectually understood it, or you felt that you wanted to do something different? It's because it was just in your head as information, but it wasn't in your heart as a desire. So we have to the process of assimilating knowledge is to get it from intellectualizing it into becoming part of what we want, who we are. If it doesn't become part of who we are, then it doesn't happen. It's just I know, and knowing is knowing. But wanting is different than knowing. And you might say, well, if I understand it intellectually, I'll do it. That's true. Sometimes. I'll do it because I know it's right. Sometimes you will, but sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll just do what you feel, even if it's wrong. So feelings are much more powerful than, especially now in Kali Yuga, there's so few people do things because they're right. They do things because they feel right, feel good. Maybe your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents were more inclined to do things because they were right, not because they felt like doing them. But nowadays, You don't find that to be so common anymore. You find that more people are doing what they feel like than what they know is right. That's why there's so much divorce, because they don't feel like staying married. So we want to get from the head assimilated so that what we know from hearing is right. We feel it in the heart. I want to do this. And then it's a much safer position if you can work on that. Did that make sense? Is a desire from the heart similar to concept of subconscious or thoughts? And if they are they harder to notice and work on? It can be. It can be, but it doesn't have to become subconscious. It will become subconscious when practiced. But the process of learning means you hear it and you understand it intellectually, then you assimilate it, and then you adopt it in your life. So that makes the process complete. And when you adopt it in your life, then, and by practicing it, those desires will become subconscious. But we already have subconscious desires which are antagonistic to the desires we should have. And so, yes, those have to be changed. But part of that comes from a foundation of wanting to be Krishna conscious. And then the more we want to be Krishna conscious, the easier it is to transfer the knowledge into action. Oh, right, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I should, Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya. Make the words of Guru one with your heart, one with your mind. Guru Mukha. The words, Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya. Guru mouth, Padma lotus Bhakya. Words. The words coming from the lotus mouth of the Guru. Guru Mukha Padma. Chitete, consciousness, Koriya, make Aikya one. Make it one with, I want to become. Make my life one with those words. I want to become those words. Those words are what I want. So when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta says, go and preach in the Western world, preach in English, that becomes what Prabhupada wants. It's no longer, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. No, this is what I want to do. Because he wants me to do it, this is what I want to do. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya. That's the sign of the best disciple is he may have so many desires and so many things he wants to do, but his guru says, this is what we need to do. That's it. That becomes his desire. That's what he does. That's what he wants to do. Prabhupada's a personification of that. And you see any devotee who's advanced in Krishna consciousness, their life is all about what does Prabhupada want me to do? Not what I want to do so much. Of course, we can do so many things in Prabhupada's service, but primarily, what are the instructions of Prabhupada for all of us that he wants us to do? Then we do that. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chite De Koriya Oikea. That's what it means. That's what it means to be a disciple, which is why sometimes it's hard to be a disciple. Because you have your own desires, which may not be what your guru wants, and then you have this conflict. So you make your heart the desire of your guru. You make your heart the will of the Bhagavatam and everything that Prabhupada said in it. That's the idea. And then you're good to go. Back to Godhead. Prabhu, you're good to go. Back to Godhead. You've got a validated ticket. Okay, let's read one more, at least one more. For the impersonalist and the so-called yogis. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15-50. For the impersonalist and the so-called yogis, the Lord is always hidden by the curtain of Yoga Maya. Bhagavad Gita says that even when Lord Krishna was seen by everyone while he was present on the surface of the earth. The impersonalists and the so-called yogis could not see him because they were devoid of devotional eyesight. The theory of the impersonalist and so-called yogis is that the Supreme Lord assumes a particular form when he comes in touch with Maya, although actually he has no form. So in other words, when they saw Krishna, they thought, he's a manifestation of Brahman. He's taken on a material form, but he's actually Brahman. So when they see Krishna, they go, you are just a Mayic form of Brahman. That's what they saw. This very conception of the impersonalists and so-called yogis checks them from seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. The Lord, therefore, is always beyond the sight of such non-devotees. The four sages felt so much obliged to the Lord that they offered their respectful obeisances unto him again and again. So now, the four Kumars were appreciating the beauty of Lord Narayan, even though they were impersonalists. But when they smelt the tulsi, they became personalists. Transformation. So they're having lots of realizations, going from being impersonalist to personalist. And so that's why Prabhupada's describing this position of impersonalists, because of their misconception. Particularly Prabhupada's talking about Mayavadis. That from the unmanifest comes the manifest. That's what they say. Krishna describes that in the Gita. If you think from the unmanifest comes the manifest, you are a fool. So that's what Prabhupada's describing here. There's unmanifest impersonal Brahman, and then Krishna appears as a material form to tell everybody to merge back into that form. That's the ultimate goal. That's what they think. So now they're seeing Krishna, and what do they think they're seeing? They think they're seeing some material manifestation of Brahman. So that's what they see. To each his own. See what you want. Krishna shows up, and you'll see what you want to see. That's basically what happens. Okay. So, we have 4 minutes and no questions. So let's read one more. It's your lucky day today. You get to read more. This next one is, we didn't finish reading it. No, this must be another verse. The four Brahmana sages, these are the four Kumars, were nevertheless extremely delighted to behold him, and they experienced a thrill throughout their bodies. Then they spoke as follows to the Lord, who had revealed the multi-glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his internal potency. So this was a real awakening for the four Kumars, who were impersonalists. Now they're appreciating the personal form of the Lord. So it's a short purport. The sages were almost too puzzled to speak before the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the first time, and the hairs of their bodies stood erect due to their extreme joy. The highest opulence in the material world is called Parameshta, the opulence of Brahma. But that material opulence of Brahma, who lives on the topmost planet within this material world, cannot compare to the opulence of the Supreme Lord, because the transcendental opulence in the spiritual world is caused by Yogamaya, whereas the opulence in the material world is caused by Mahamaya. So in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, it said that every living entity in the spiritual world has more opulence. If you take all the opulence of this world, I think multiply it 1,000 times or whatever, but even if we just take all the opulence of this world, which is a lot, it's that every resident of Vaikuntha, each person has more opulence than the totality of opulence of this world, or many thousand or 1,000 times greater. Meditate on that today. See how that feels. So the Kumaras are overwhelmed. And Prabhupada's saying, what, you can't, what the Kumaras were saying, you can't compare what they saw, the opulence they saw, because this was spiritual opulence and it can't compare to the opulence of the material world. So they were just awestruck. They were having a good time, to put it mildly. Yes. Okay. That was from 3:16:15. Okay, so now I think we finished. That was good for today. And tomorrow class is at 6 a.m. Hold on. As far as I remember, tomorrow is at 6 a.m. We're doing Russian tomorrow at 6 a.m. Hold on, everyone. Well, it must be advertised somewhere. I'm 99% sure. Tomorrow is at 6 a.m. My phone is tired this morning. It's having a hard time waking up. Doesn't want to wake up. I can't wake it up. Okay. Tomorrow, 6:30 a.m.? No, it should be 6. Tomorrow's at 6. Today there may be a class at 1, but I'm not sure if it's open for everyone. But if it is, it will be advertised on my Facebook page. We're going to talk about the mind. This is for students in London. Okay, Hare Krishna to everyone. All glories to the Yogamaya potency of Sri Krishna. May you choose to be under the shelter of Yogamaya. And may you always be under the shelter of Yogamaya. Hare Krishna.